the high-stakes family dilemma. This story begins with a powerful, wealthy man, a millionaire CEO who built his empire from the ground up. His success is undeniable, but beneath the polished surface lies a complicated family drama fueled by expectations, social status, and a father's desire to control his legacy. The CEO, confident and prideful, believes that his son's future must be secured by a mother who fits into their elite social circle, a glamorous woman from the world of wealth and influence. He puts the choice directly in the hands of his young son, expecting the child to naturally choose a high society woman as his mother, reinforcing the family's image and social standing. The tension in this seemingly simple task quickly escalates because this is no ordinary decision. It's a test of power, identity, and love in a world where appearances are everything. The son's choice will either cement the CEO's vision or shatter it entirely, sparking hidden rivalries, social tensions, and personal betrayals that ripple far beyond the mansion's walls. This is a story about expectations clashing with reality, about a child's innocent heart caught in a battle for control and dignity. Glamorous socialites in the spotlight. As soon as the CEO makes his intentions known, the city's high society women begin to circle like peacocks displaying their most dazzling feathers. Invitations arrive daily at the grand estate, and the mansion becomes a stage for an elaborate contest of beauty, grace, and calculated charm. These socialites, daughters of politicians, heiresses to fortunes, influencers, and models, all see this as the opportunity of a lifetime. To marry into one of the city's most powerful families and secure their place at the top. Their designer dresses, sparkling jewelry, and practiced smiles hide a fierce competitiveness, each woman determined to outshine the others. The CEO watches them with a critical eye, believing only the most sophisticated and well-connected can measure up to his standards. He hosts opulent dinners, charity galas, and private parties, each one more extravagant than the last, giving the women every chance to impress not only him, but, more importantly, his young son. Behind closed doors, alliances form and rumors spread. Some socialites flatter the CEO directly, hoping to win his favor through adult manipulation. Others focus on gifts and attention for the boy, treating him less like a child and more like a prize to be won. The media picks up on the spectacle. Tabloids, speculating about which lucky woman will become the new matriarch of this elite family, their headlines splashed with speculation, envy, and gossip. In the midst of all this, the CEO's son is paraded around as if he were royalty, his every move scrutinized, his reactions analyzed for clues. He's dressed in perfect suits, told how to smile for photographs, and coached in etiquette by his father's advisors. But as the days drag on, he grows more withdrawn. The attention feels hollow, and the affection of the socialites seems rehearsed, their laughter just a little too loud, their compliments strangely generic. Deep inside, he longs for something real, something gentle and genuine, a connection that isn't part of a social performance. Yet for now, the spotlight remains fixed on the glamorous women vying for a crown, while the boy's true feelings go unnoticed by everyone but one quiet figure, always watching from the shadows. The unexpected maid's quiet presence. Throughout the swirling chaos of parties and competition, one person remains mostly invisible to the wealthy guests and even to the CEO himself. The maid, Elena. She's young but carries herself with a quiet dignity, moving softly through the rooms as she fulfills her duties, serving meals, clearing glasses, tidying up after the grand events. Elena never wears makeup or flashy jewelry. Her uniform is simple, and her hair is always tied back. While others chase the limelight, she moves unnoticed, her footsteps barely making a sound across the marble floors. Yet for the CEO's son, her presence is anything but invisible. To him, Elena is a gentle constant in a world of shifting masks. She's the one who finds his misplaced toys, who slips him a cookie after dinner, who kneels down to listen to his whispered worries when no one else has the time or patience. When the other women crowd around, competing for his attention with grand gestures, Elena quietly steps back, never forcing herself into his space. She reads him stories before bed if his father is too busy, never once treating him like a pawn in someone else's game. The other staff notice how the boy lights up when Elena enters the room, but no one dares mention it aloud. The rules of the household are clear, and the CEO's ambitions are an open secret. Elena, for her part, harbors no illusions about her place in the hierarchy. She knows that people like her are not meant to dream beyond their station. Her job is to be reliable, efficient, invisible. But inside, she can't help but care deeply for the lonely boy, feeling a tenderness that grows stronger every day. She tells herself it's just part of her work, yet she finds herself staying a little later to comfort him when he's sad, or humming lullabies from her childhood as she tucks him in at night. The socialites barely acknowledge Elena's existence, sometimes making careless messes for her to clean, or speaking to her with the dismissive tone reserved for servants. They see only her plain clothes and modest background, never suspecting that she might be the person the boy trusts most in the world. Unbeknownst to everyone, the seeds of something extraordinary are quietly taking root in the shadows of the mansion, something that will soon upend the carefully constructed order of the CEO's household, and challenge every assumption about what family, loyalty, and love should look like. The son's secret bond with the maid. Away from the blinding lights of the social gatherings and the suffocating attention of the socialites, the boy's world feels far more honest and gentle in the company of Elena. Their moments together are simple: walks in the garden at sunset, games of hide-and-seek among the rose bushes, whispered conversations in the warmth of the kitchen while Elena bakes fresh bread. The boy, whose life is ruled by expectations and public performances, finds in Elena the rare gift of authenticity. She never asks him to behave a certain way for appearances or offers praise just to win favor. When he laughs, it's because something is genuinely funny. When he cries, she listens without judgment or impatience, holding his small hand until the storm passes. The trust between them grows in these quiet, unguarded hours. The boy tells Elena secrets he's never shared with anyone, not even his father. He confides his fears about the looming choice his father has placed upon him, admitting that he feels like a trophy, passed from one set of hands to another. He describes how lonely he feels among the perfectly dressed, sweetly smiling women who never really see him. Elena, in return, shares pieces of her own story, careful never to cross the line of impropriety, but wanting him to understand that life is about more than status or money. She teaches him to value kindness, to notice the beauty in ordinary things, to believe in the worth of every person, no matter their role or rank. Sometimes, late at night, the boy dreams of a life far from the mansion's marble corridors, a life filled with laughter and messy joy, a place where he can run and play and just be himself. In those dreams, Elena is always there, smiling and holding out her arms, the embodiment of home. Their bond becomes a secret world, a safe harbor from the storms of expectation and ambition that swirl outside. Even as the pressure mounts for him to make his choice among the socialites, the boy grows more certain of what his heart wants, though he fears the consequences. What would his father say if he knew? What would the world think? And yet, with each passing day, the decision seems less like a rebellion and more like a quiet act of courage. A way to choose love over fear, authenticity over pretense. Elena, for her part, senses something shifting in the boy. She is careful not to encourage impossible hopes, but her heart aches for him, and sometimes she wonders what it would be like to belong to a family not built on power, but on trust and affection. As the day of reckoning approaches, the strength of their bond is tested by the growing scrutiny of the household. Yet, even as rumors swirl and tensions rise, the boy and the maid cling to the honesty and warmth they have found in each other, a connection that, unbeknownst to all, will soon transform the fate of everyone involved. CEO's expectation and social pressure. As the deadline for the boy's decision draws near, the atmosphere in the mansion grows electric with anticipation, and for the CEO, with the pressure of social expectation. He has spent his life cultivating the perfect image, successful, influential, untouchable. His every move is watched by business rivals, politicians, and the media. This latest public spectacle, His son choosing a new mother from among the city's elite women is, for him, more than a family affair. It is an opportunity to reinforce his power and taste to the world. He is certain that his son will choose wisely, that the allure of luxury and the admiration of so many beautiful, accomplished women will impress the boy and align with the family's reputation. The CEO never doubts that the right choice is one of the glamorous socialites. He sees their connections, their poise, the advantages they could bring to his son's life and to the company's legacy. Behind closed doors, he hosts private meetings with advisors and old friends, all of them congratulating him in advance on the inevitability of a brilliant match. At business dinners, the topic comes up with a wink and a nod. "Your son has good taste. I'm sure he'll pick a future queen," one partner jokes, and everyone laughs, never imagining any other outcome. For the CEO, this has always been about more than love or compatibility. It's about sending a message. His family will continue to lead, to set standards, to rise above. As the socialites parade through his home, he takes mental notes on their credentials and family backgrounds, their public personas, their value in his vast network. He asks his son, gently at first, about his preferences, steering the conversation toward the most suitable candidates. When the boy grows quiet or evasive, the CEO brushes it off as shyness, but he grows impatient, worried that the boy doesn't understand the significance of this choice. Meanwhile, the staff feel the tension. Rumors ripple through the kitchen. Which socialite is favored? Who will be the next lady of the house? What gifts have arrived for the boy from admirers and hopeful families? The city itself seems to hold its breath, watching for news, ready to judge the families standing by the outcome of this decision. But in all his planning, the CEO never considers the possibility that his son could see the world differently, that the boy's heart might be immune to power and appearances. He believes he has built a life where everything is possible, everything is controllable, and that love can be decided like a business merger.
As the day approaches, the CEO's confidence hardens into certainty, never suspecting that beneath the surface, forces of sincerity and courage are about to challenge everything he thought he knew about family, loyalty, and love. The son's bold choice revealed. The day arrives with all the pomp and ceremony the CEO could have wished for. The mansion is polished to a high shine.
Every chandelier gleaming, the scent of fresh flowers wafting through the halls. Outside, photographers and journalists gather, ready to capture the next chapter in the family's storied legacy. The socialites are dressed in their finest, designer gowns, perfect hair, flawless smiles, and their families hover in the background, waiting to claim victory. Inside, the staff rush quietly, nerves stretched thin by the tension of the occasion. In the center of it all stands the CEO's young son, uncomfortable in his suit, hands clasped tight behind his back. He is small compared to the towering adults around him, but something in his eyes has changed, an unusual resolve. The CEO beams at him, giving a reassuring squeeze to his shoulder, certain that everything will go according to plan. The assembled guests fall silent as the CEO stands to speak, delivering a polished address about family, tradition, and the bright future ahead. He gestures grandly to the boy, inviting him to step forward and make the honorable choice that will define their household for years to come. The boy takes a deep breath, glancing briefly at the elegant women waiting for his attention, their expressions shifting between confidence and anxiety. For a long moment, he says nothing. The room holds its collective breath. Finally, with a quiet but steady voice, he speaks, not to the crowd, but to Elena, the maid, standing at the edge of the room in her plain uniform, eyes wide with shock. "I want her," he says simply, pointing to Elena, "to be my mother. She is the one who loves me." The words fall like stones in a silent lake. At first, there is only stunned disbelief. The socialites' faces freeze, a collective gasp rippling through their ranks. The CEO's smile falters, then disappears entirely. The crowd murmurs, journalists fumbling for their cameras, unsure if they've heard correctly. Elena stands rooted to the spot, as if struck by lightning, her hands trembling. The boy, noticing her fear, walks over and takes her hand. "She makes me happy," he says softly, as if explaining a simple truth. "She takes care of me, listens to me, and loves me even when nobody is watching." The moment stretches, charged with a sense of awe and defiance. For a brief second, everything is suspended: the weight of expectation, the power of money, the hunger for prestige. In its place, something raw and real pulses through the air. The courage of a child, choosing love over performance, truth over spectacle. The CEO's composure cracks, his carefully planned future unraveling before his eyes. He tries to speak, but the words fail him. The guests shift uncomfortably, unsure how to react. Some smile awkwardly, others frown, a few whisper behind their hands. The socialites glare, stunned by humiliation and anger. And in that extraordinary moment, the boy and the maid stand side by side, united by a bond no one else can touch, their act of courage echoing far beyond the gilded walls. Socialites' outrage and public humiliation. The shock of the boy's choice reverberates instantly through the grand hall and out into the world beyond. The socialites, who had spent weeks cultivating perfection and angling for the ultimate prize, are seized by disbelief and outrage. Their faces contort, some with barely masked fury, others with tearful incredulity. For many, humiliation comes sharp and immediate. Whispered mockery from other guests, the realization that all their efforts were not just wasted, but publicly dismissed. Within minutes, the elegant poise that once defined the gathering dissolves into chaos. One socialite, known for her icy composure, bursts into angry tears, fleeing the room as cameras flash in pursuit. Another unleashes a cutting remark, loudly questioning the judgment of the CEO and the sanity of allowing a mere child to upend family tradition. The most ambitious among them try desperately to salvage their dignity, offering hollow congratulations or laughing off the result as a childish whim, but the sting of rejection is unmistakable. Around them, family members, mothers, aunts, even grandmothers, gather to offer comfort or, in some cases, to scold the boy for his foolishness. Journalists, sensing a scandal far juicier than the anticipated fairy tale ending, pounce on the spectacle. Headlines are crafted in real time. Maid stuns high society, CEO's son defies tradition. Hearts broken at Billionaire's mansion, the boy who chose love over power. The CEO is bombarded with questions. How could he let this happen? What will the board think? What message does this send about the family's future? For the first time, the carefully curated image of untouchable wealth and control is not just tarnished, but shattered. The CEO, mortified, tries to restore order, but every word only stokes the fire. "This is not a game," he protests, his voice trembling with anger and disbelief. The guests murmur, some in support, others in gossipy delight at the downfall of a man who always seemed above reproach. As the story spreads beyond the mansion, social media explodes. Clips of the event go viral, with hashtags mocking the socialites' downfall and celebrating the maid's miraculous elevation. The schadenfreude is intense. Memes are born within hours, the story spinning wildly out of the family's control. In the days that follow, the socialites themselves face a different kind of humiliation. Invitations to other elite gatherings are rescinded or arrive with a note of pity rather than respect. Former allies keep their distance, not wanting to be associated with a losing side. For some, it's a bitter lesson in the fragility of reputation. For others, an excuse to double down on cruelty, spreading vicious rumors about the maid's supposed manipulation or the CEO's parental incompetence. And through it all, the boy and Elena find themselves at the center of a storm. Their quiet, honest bond, now the subject of heated debate, judgment, and even admiration. The old rules of power and privilege seem to have crumbled in a single afternoon, leaving behind confusion, bitterness, And most unexpectedly, a glimpse of something new, the idea that love, not status, might be the true force capable of transforming a family. The maid's quiet strength and dignity. In the midst of this storm, Elena stands firm, her dignity unshaken even as the world turns its gaze upon her. At first, the attention is overwhelming. Overnight, Elena, once invisible in her plain uniform, becomes the subject of rumors, headlines, and whispered accusations. People who never noticed her presence now scrutinize her every move, some eager to see her fail, others desperate to drag her name through the mud. The staff who once worked quietly beside her are now divided. A few are sympathetic, offering shy smiles and support. But many keep their distance, wary of the sudden shift in power and the unpredictable fallout. Elena feels their eyes on her as she moves through the house, but she refuses to shrink under the weight of gossip or scorn. She continues her duties with the same gentle efficiency, never raising her voice or begging for validation. When the CEO's son clings to her side, she comforts him, her presence a shield against the torrent of ridicule and disapproval. She listens, as always, to his fears and questions, reassuring him that kindness and honesty are virtues, even when the world seems to punish them. Journalists camp outside the gates, shouting questions as she arrives for work, but Elena never responds with bitterness or self-pity. She holds her head high, giving only the softest, most dignified answers when pressed, always redirecting the conversation back to the boy and the importance of caring for him no matter what others say. As days pass, some within the household begin to see her in a new light. The same humility and steadiness that endeared her to the boy now become a quiet inspiration to others. The gardener who once ignored her now offers a warm greeting. The housekeeper who whispered doubts now asks for advice. Even a few of the socialites, defeated but not without grace, send letters of apology or encouragement, acknowledging that the boy's happiness is more important than tradition. Elena never gloats, never seizes the opportunity to rise above her station at the expense of others. She is acutely aware of the anger and jealousy that still linger in the halls, and she refuses to meet cruelty with more cruelty. Instead, she models what it means to forgive, to endure, to move forward without malice. The CEO, watching all this unfold, is forced to reconsider everything he once valued: power, reputation, control. He sees how Elena, armed with nothing but kindness and resolve, withstands the ridicule and chaos with more grace than any of the women he once considered worthy. And as the scandal begins to fade, replaced by newer stories and fresher gossip, what remains is Elena's quiet strength, a reminder to everyone that dignity is not granted by wealth or birth, but earned through compassion, integrity, and the willingness to stand firm in the face of adversity. In her, the boy has found not just a caretaker, but a role model, someone who, even when the world demanded shame, chose instead to be proud. CEO's transformation and true priorities. The aftermath of the scandal leaves the CEO in unfamiliar territory, stripped of the absolute control he once exercised over every aspect of his life and legacy. For days, he broods in his private office, haunted by the images of the public humiliation, the bitter comments in the press, and the echo of his son's simple, fearless declaration. The certainty that had once defined his decisions, his unwavering faith in status, power, and tradition, now feels hollow, exposed as brittle and empty. At first, the CEO's instincts are to repair his reputation. He consults public relations experts, meets with advisors, and contemplates sending Elena away to restore order. But the more he considers these options, the more he is confronted by the silent, stubborn presence of his son. The boy refuses to be cowed by his father's disappointment, standing by Elena with a quiet loyalty that even the CEO can't help but admire. In moments alone, the CEO begins to replay his son's words, the purity of his reasoning, the courage it took to defy everyone for the sake of love and honesty. Slowly, almost against his will, the CEO starts to question the values he has built his life upon. He remembers a time, long before the wealth and the headlines, when he himself was young and unburdened by the demands of image and legacy. The transformation comes not with a single revelation, but in small, difficult steps. A hesitant apology to his son, an awkward attempt to thank Elena for her care, the discomfort of facing his own failings as a father. It is not easy. Friends and business partners question his decisions, warning him that he risks the family's future by entertaining scandal and impropriety. The board of his company pressures him to make a public statement to demonstrate authority. For the first time, the CEO realizes that the approval he has always chased now means far less than the happiness of his own child. He finds himself drawn to the kitchen late at night, watching Elena gently soothe his son's worries, the house no longer divided between staff and family, but united by quiet moments of real affection. The more he observes, the more he sees the truth. The qualities he once dismissed, compassion, patience, humility, are the ones that matter most. In a private conversation, the CEO finally sits down with Elena. His tone is hesitant, stripped of its usual arrogance. He thanks her, not just for caring for his son, but for reminding him what family truly means. He apologizes, awkwardly but sincerely, for the pain and humiliation she endured. Elena, ever gracious, assures him that love is never wasted, even when it brings hardship. In this exchange, something fundamental shifts. The CEO's priorities are reordered. He begins to see his son not as an extension of himself, but as a person whose happiness and integrity are worth more than reputation or tradition. The change is gradual, but unmistakable. The mansion, once a fortress of status and spectacle, becomes a home again. The CEO opens himself to the possibility that true legacy is built not on power, but on kindness, and that sometimes the boldest act is to choose love in a world obsessed with appearances. Final justice, redefining family and power. In the weeks and months that follow the scandal, the mansion's once stifling atmosphere gives way to a new sense of freedom and possibility. Gone are the endless parade of socialites, the anxious whispering of staff, the desperate drive to impress the outside world. In their place, a quieter, more authentic rhythm emerges, a household defined by care, respect, and unexpected joy. The CEO, once consumed by his own ambitions, becomes a changed man, taking time each day to listen to his son, to share meals with him and Elena, and even to learn from their moments of laughter and simplicity. There are awkward stumbles along the way, moments when old habits resurface, or when the sting of gossip from the outside world threatens to reopen wounds. But the family, now united by choice rather than circumstance, grows stronger with each challenge they face together. Elena's position in the household shifts subtly but unmistakably. She is no longer just a maid, but a beloved presence at the heart of the family, respected for her strength and kindness, relied upon for her wisdom in moments of doubt. The boy, now more confident and joyful than ever, thrives under the nurturing love of both his father and Elena, learning that his voice and his feelings matter. The staff, witnessing the transformation, slowly drop their guard. Conversations grow warmer, old divisions begin to dissolve, and a culture of genuine kindness takes root. The CEO's company, at first rattled by rumors of instability, comes to respect his renewed leadership, rooted in authenticity and compassion, rather than cold calculation. He finds that people are drawn to sincerity and honesty, that partnerships built on trust and respect are far more resilient than those based on fear or reputation. The family's public image, once defined by scandal, is gradually recast as a story of redemption and courage. Some in society still whisper, but many come to admire the boldness it took for the CEO and his son to reject empty tradition in favor of what truly matters. Invitations to parties and galas arrive again, but this time the family attends as themselves, no longer hiding behind masks or forced smiles. Through all these changes, Elena's humble wisdom shapes the family's new direction. She teaches them, by example, not by lecture, that real power lies in kindness, and that the heart of any family is built not on money, but on the courage to love without fear of judgment. The story closes not with grand pronouncements or fairy tale weddings, but with a quiet moment. The CEO, his son, and Elena sitting together at the kitchen table, sharing a meal, their laughter echoing softly in the evening light. In that moment, the mansion is no longer a symbol of status or scandal, but of hope. And for the boy who dared to choose love, and the maid who never wavered in her dignity, justice has come. Not as revenge, but as the simple, profound reward of a family that chose to define itself on its own terms. The world outside may never fully understand, but within those walls, true family has finally been found.